Good morning. Today I wanted to talk to you guys. We just finished celebrating Halloween here in the United States, and I had a couple of my girls, actually quite a few of them, in my macro Facebook page kind of cheat this weekend, I guess, if you want to call it that. Either overate on candy or good morning, Cheryl. Hey, Jen. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the upcoming holidays and how planning your macros is important, but also learning how to enjoy the holiday in moderation too. So like I said, quite a few of the ladies said, yes, I love the holidays too. Great. So I know a lot of people who, whether they follow macros or not, tend to gain weight during this time of year, between cold weather. So we're less active. We end up actually hydrating ourselves less in the cold than we do in the heat, unfortunately. And we sit around, we socialize more, we probably stay up a little bit later, hanging out with family. So we end up, good morning. Oh, thank you. I've actually, I was thinking about scoping a couple days ago, and I'm like, what the heck do I talk to everybody about? So it actually helped that we had Halloween, and that quite a few people were kind of going off at their plan. So instead of just talking to my faithful macro mamas, oh, good, Candace. Yeah, I'll go ahead and respond to you. I think I responded to you this morning and then told you to track for a couple of days. That's typically the first. Oh, yes. It is pretty eye-opening, isn't it? It's kind of a shocker. There's Meredith. Hello! So, as far as this last holiday we had, right, it's gone. It's done. It's over. The next one coming up is Thanksgiving at the end of November. But we're really only about, 3.5 weeks out from that. So it's probably a good idea to start to plan ahead on how you're going to make it through the holidays without gaining. It's actually really hard, I think, to be in a cut during the holidays. It's possible. It just takes a lot more effort. So if you happen to be on a fat loss plan, you can enjoy the holiday too and not gain weight. So my first suggestion, you hear my birds? I put the blanket over their cage. I told them to be quiet. They're a lot quieter than they normally are. If you ask the girls that watch this every time I post, they're usually pretty chirpy. So hopefully they'll stay quieter. So my first suggestion is most of us have a routine with the holidays. We either go to our in-laws or we have people come over, or most of us are creatures of habit. There's not going to be anything about Thanksgiving or Christmas really that's going to be new or shocking. My mom sometimes likes to spice things up a bit, where we'll still do a traditional Thanksgiving dinner with turkey, and then Christmas maybe we do a Mexican dinner or Italian or something. We kind of try to switch it up. But again, that's something that we talk about before we end up going over there. So my first suggestion is pre-plan your meal. If you know that you like turkey and sweet potato casserole and stuffing, put that in your phone ahead of time. It doesn't even have to be exact. It can be a total guesstimate. Just planning that ahead is going to make a huge difference in and of itself. Instead of literally walking into your mom's house or your in-laws with, a set amount of macros and having no clue where you're going to go with that. So if you say, hey, my plan is to eat about 4 ounces of turkey, probably 2 ounces of mashed potatoes, put it in your phone. Those numbers could change. Yeah. No, so that's the other thing I was going to tell you too. Allow yourself flexibility on that day and enjoy the holiday day. Don't enjoy the entire month. So if you, like I said, you're going to 5 Christmas parties, pick a Christmas party to truly enjoy, where you're going to eat, you're going to drink, you're going to have fun, you're not going to feel restricted. If the other 4, you're going to need to watch what you're doing. If you're like Meredith, she plans her entire birthday month. So, as do I. Mine's in December. Exactly. That's the other thing I was going to tell you. Do not bring your scale to a family function. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Don't be that person. Unfortunately, taking care of ourselves can make others feel really guilty, and our job is not to guilt them into taking better care of themselves. So, like I said, plan ahead, pre-plan your meal as best that you can, and then just enjoy yourself. That doesn't mean that you eat 4 pieces of pie. You can eat 1 piece of pie. If you like to have whipped cream on top of it, good morning. Put your whipped cream on there. Sprinkle your cinnamon on. Have fun with it. But enjoy that day only and leave it in that day. So yes, don't bring leftovers home from mom, because you probably don't know the macros and how much butter and all that other crap she put in there anyway. So you enjoy it while you're there. You don't make anybody feel bad. If I take 18 bites, then it makes me feel like I'm eating more pie. Your other option would be to create something at home that you know is, yes. Well, I actually get a lot of questions from my family about the way that I eat. Yes, if you have questions about macros, there's a form on my website, poppylocks.com, for macro calculations. You can just fill out the form if you have some questions. You don't have to automatically hit the PayPal link. And then hopefully I can answer those for you. If you want me to create a plan for you, then yes, there is also a PayPal link on there. It's $30 and you get your initial macro breakdown along with 2 other drops. So, yeah, so again, make sure, the other thing I was going to suggest is that when you're going to an in-laws, another idea is to create a macro-friendly dish to bring to share. I make the protein pumpkin cheesecake, or there's a crustless pumpkin pie. If you have something like sweet potato casserole that you like, but you know that you just can't handle having all the brown sugar that's in there, make one to share with everybody else. But that's something that you're guaranteed that your macros are going to be dead on for. And then, like I said, grab turkey. If you happen to get 6 ounces instead of 4 ounces, whatever, just don't load up on the gravy and you're going to be fine. You're probably going to overeat on your holiday day. That's pretty standard for most people. But don't go to bed feeling guilty about doing that. And like I said, if you have multiple parties, pick one party that sounds like the most fun to really let loose and try to stay on plan for the other ones. Yes, there you go. See, if you stay up all night, then you can burn all those. If you're going to be somewhere for a long period of time, I can see bringing your scale. But like I said, if I'm going to my in-laws, which they live about 30 minutes from here, I don't take my scale with me. My mother-in-law is like super health conscious when it comes to the way she cooks. My mom's not so much. I don't take a scale to either one of their houses. There you go. Running the turkey trot. Yeah, so that makes total sense, Jen. I would bring it with me because that's a long time to be somewhere else. Again, still on Christmas Day, don't bust out the scale. Like I said, you just make others feel like crap. And my idea behind macros is to just share with people what they want to know. Most people will notice on your plate that you're not loading up heaping piles of everything, that you're just choosing to have a serving of this and a serving of that. And the longer that you follow a macro-based plan, you get better with eyeballing about how much is 4 ounces of meat. That's another thing I was going to tell you. If you don't have your scale and you still want to try to stay pretty close, 4 ounces of meat is about the size of the palm of your hand. Or a deck of cards is also another one. So I guess depending on the size of your hand, maybe your hand is smaller. But yes, so a deck of cards is on average about 4 ounces of meat. Any fats that you have, like avocado or oils or that kind of stuff. But that's fine. Just plan that into your carbs. I mean, figure out about how much is a serving of it and eat 2 servings of it and have fun with it and be glad that you got to eat your dressing and that it tasted really good. And you're not going to look back. You're not going to look back on this holiday in 3 years and go, damn it, had I only nailed my macros on Thanksgiving, life would have been so much better. No, you're going to think back to that your grandmother was there or that your kids were there. And that's when you had fun. Not that you felt restricted or that, that your mom rolled her eyes when you pulled out your pocket scale. Leave it at home. This one day. I had another person, in my macro group ask me about, the breakdown of generally how macros work. So I know I did a Periscope on that, I guess a week or two ago, and I forgot to save it. So I'll just go over that real quickly for anybody that's either new to macros or just kind of wants to understand a general understanding of how they work. So macros are the major macronutrients, such as protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Each one of those is where calories come from in our foods. Fiber is another, it's a micronutrient, but some calories come from fiber also. Then of course, all your micronutrients are going to be the vitamins and minerals that are inside of your foods. So we really watch our macros the most. You do want to pay attention to a certain extent to your micronutrients. If you're not eating 90% whole foods, you're going to want to make sure that you probably get a multivitamin in there. Same thing, some people do better having a daily supply of fish oils. I know some women like biotin, not only for hair and for nails, it also does help with energy metabolism to a certain extent. So basically we each have what is called a basal metabolic rate, and it's different for everyone. It's based on your height and your size and your age and your level of activity. But your basal metabolic rate is the amount of calories it takes to sustain life. That's breathing, food digestion, making your heart beat, your eyes blink. So we each have a BMR. My BMR, because of the amount that I work out, is right around 1,700 calories a day. The larger you are, whether it's fat or muscle, your BMR is going to be higher because it takes more energy to move your body, right? To walk, if you weigh 200 pounds, it's going to take more energy than it would if you weighed 100 pounds. So each of us has a BMR. If you are eating at or below that, then your body is most likely using muscle tissue for fuel. Most people do not like to hear that because as women, we have been taught that less is more. If we're eating 1,200 calories a day, then we should be losing fat. Well, sorry, sweetie, you're losing muscle. Just hate to break it to you. Even if you're not working out, your body has to find fuel to make your brain work. So it's going to go for the easiest thing to break down, which is going to be muscle fiber. So if you are eating at or below that, you're in serious trouble. You will very quickly get to a place where you cannot lose weight anymore. I'm not going to say that it's fat loss because you're definitely losing muscle at the same time. So if you were interested in following a macro-based plan, the first thing that I always suggest is, see, there's Meredith. We've had to reverse her up back to a much more sustainable calorie level. And she's starting to like eating more food. And that's actually something I told several of you guys. I was on a mini cut. I did my mini cut for 4 weeks and decided my body is not interested in cutting right now. I only lost, 4 pounds or something, and I bumped my calories right back up, and I'm back in my reverse. So I prefer to reverse during the holidays. I like to eat all the foods, and I really enjoy lifting super heavy weight. And by adding more food into my diet, I am able to do that. So my calories are just going to keep going through the roof till probably end of January, beginning of February, and then I'll go back into a cut for the spring. So if you are brand new to macros, first suggestion is that you log your food. Everything that goes in your mouth goes on the log for at least 3 to 4 days. The longer that you log, the more accurate it's going to be. It's not a time to try to restrict how you eat or try to eat clean or whatever people call that, because that's not true to yourself. You want to be as open and as honest, because it not only would give me or somebody else who's going to calculate your macros for you a very good idea of your baseline and where you're starting from, but it also kind of shows you how you eat. I know a lot of people will say, I can't figure out why my fat's always through the roof. And then you realize that, well, they're eating a lot of full fat cheese, or they eat whole eggs all the time. You can make your fats, you can make any one macro skyrocket very quickly just by tweaking your diet one way or another. So after you've logged for a couple of days, you'll have an idea of about, an average of how you eat every day. By using something like MyFitnessPal, it will naturally break it down into the 3 macronutrients: carbs, fat, and protein. Most women do not eat enough protein. Again, we need protein. Yeah. Have you continued? Is your scale just continuing to go up and down, Jen? Because you haven't really been following for a super long time. Yeah, isn't that shocking? You're eating more than you thought, but most women don't eat enough protein. We need to eat on average 1 gram per pound of body weight. So, yeah, and that's totally normal, Jen. You need to give it at least 2 weeks just to kind of see. If your scale goes up 2 pounds, down 3 pounds, or up 3 and down 2, realistically, you're pretty much staying in the same place, because of course you have to remember you have water weight, based on how much sodium you ate one day, when you went to the bathroom. I know TMI, but that's kind of the way it goes. Even how much fiber you had can be dependent on how much water your body's absorbed. Hi, Kendra. So the first thing you need is you need an adequate amount of protein. Protein has essential amino acids in it. It also, sodium can be a huge issue with the scale. And again, that's why I don't watch my sodium all that much. But if you're eating a lot of processed meats, even cheese can have, I only buy low sodium cottage cheese. I'm actually more worried about the sodium than I am the fat content of it. So that's something. Sodium, if you feel like your scale's not moving and you feel maybe like your rings are tight or that kind of stuff, then a lot of times taking sodium out of your diet for a day or 2 can really help with that. Realistically though, if you're losing fat, even the amount of sodium that you're taking in, at some point your body's going to level out and you're going to still see a decrease in the scale. So anyway, back to protein. Definitely needed. If you get an adequate amount of protein, you're going to get better rest. You're going to get better sleep. You're going to think better. I know it's shocking. Look on the back of the cheese, especially the lower fat. The lower the fat, they put more salt in there. I guess because it loses flavor without having fat in it. But it's like they replace the fat with salt. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, especially like I said, cheeses, for whatever reason, they put more sodium in them. Protein is needed for muscle recovery. There was a study that was done. I believe Layne Norton is the one who I was watching. There's a little bit of salt in your massive amounts of bacon there, Meredith. There was a study that was done. People had hard workout, and it was like, how they do the half of them take one supplement and half take another, and half were doing high carbs. A lot of things will say, and you have this window to get your carbs in right after you work out, because your muscles are the most receptive to restoring the glycogen. So they had done one that it was like, one group had done all carbs afterwards, one group had done all protein, and one had done a mix of both. And the people who took in just the protein, or the ones that took in protein and carb, actually had better muscle regeneration. When you first start tracking, don't worry about putting any numbers. I know it'll automatically have some in there. Just eat. Just log your foods and just start eating. And then it will show you at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if it says, oh, you're supposed to be eating 90 grams of protein and you really ate 140. It'll tell you that you're over, but that doesn't matter. So don't worry about what the numbers are that MyFitnessPal has in there for your daily requirements. You just eat like you normally eat, because it doesn't matter what they tell you you supposedly need. MyFitnessPal's got some kind of wonky things on there. So just log for a couple of days. Like I said, if you're used to eating a Big Mac every day, put that in there, whether MyFitnessPal thought it was a good idea or not. So your next macronutrient is carbs. The carbs are, they have glycogen they restore glycogen, excuse me, to aid in muscle repair. And you also need carbs in your diet to sustain your energy for workouts. You'll hear about a lot of people who do a paleo diet and they stay ketogenic long enough that their body becomes a fat burning machine instead of a carb burning machine. It is possible to do that. Unfortunately, I can tell you there are people that don't ever go into ketosis, and I am one of those people. I was paleo for almost 2 years. Well, clean eating, I mean, it's really relative. But if you have been following that plan, then use that food to log. I mean, because that's basically the way you've been eating. So however you've been eating, just continue to eat like that. Like I said, don't go off the rails and all of a sudden start eating whatever you want to if you've been eating a specific way for a long period of time. So yeah, so it is possible to get your body to a place where. Yeah, she's actually emailed me. I've got her logging for a couple of days so that I can get a better idea of where she is. She is actually interested in building muscle. And I love writing those kind of plans because that's eat all the foods. No, you can ask as many questions as you need to, Candace. So yeah. You can deplete your body of carbs if you'd like to. You'll notice in a lot of marathoners, they hit a wall around mile 17 to 19. And the reason is that your body can only store about 2,000 calories worth of glycogen at one time. So once you have completely depleted that, your body naturally has to go looking elsewhere for energy sources. So it will use fat. That's why some people prefer to work out in a fasted state. Studies again have been done on that too. And even though, yes, you may be burning more fat because you have no glycogen, your workouts kind of start to suffer after a while because you just don't have the energy when you're using fats. So carbs are definitely necessary. Again, fantastic for brain function. They make you feel better. So fat is necessary because that's another one that is extremely important. The brain needs fat. Fat is a macronutrient that does not cause a spike in blood sugar. So there are people that are either insulin resistant or I think PCOS requires less carbs. So it is possible to be on a macro plan that is more fat dense than it is carb. That's again something that if someone tells me that I can tweak their plan to make sure that their carbs don't go too high so that their blood sugar doesn't go up. I should be working, but I'm talking to all of you guys instead. Yeah, see, that's interesting. And that's the other issue, Jen, is if someone doesn't follow their no, you don't need to count your BCAAs unless they have, most of them don't have calories. They're just amino acids. Unless there's something else in the drink that would cause you to, for there to be carbs or something. They're not protein. They're the amino acids in protein. So they don't actually have the same calories as like, eating meat would or something like that. And I mean, calories is, the amount of energy it takes, to digest the food. So something like amino acids is a liquid, so you're not really digesting anything. So it's not, I don't see how there would really be a lot of calories in something like that anyway. So yeah, if the basic idea behind a macro-based diet, whether it's a fat loss or a reverse diet, which is an increase in calories, is in a fat loss, you have to be in an overall calorie deficit. So this is where even though you'll have a set number of protein, carbs, and fats for a day, the overall calorie intake does still hold some weight. I've had a lot of women that have kind of, so that's the thing. You need to make sure that you're following on a consistent basis at bare minimum for those first 2 weeks, because I won't really be able to help tweak your numbers if you're not really following it, including staying under. If I don't, because you really aren't, you don't know, is it the numbers that are making you gain or lose weight, or is it, that kind of a, yes, lean any lean meats, turkey, pastrami, anything that you can get, kind of deli meats. I love seafood. I love crab, shrimp. Lobster, I guess, if you want to spend the money on that. Tuna, of course. I eat low-fat string cheese. I eat low-fat cottage cheese, non-fat Greek yogurt. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is buy the flavored Greek yogurts, mix in my protein powder into the yogurt. It gets it almost like a custard type consistency, and then add 18 grams of fat-free Cool Whip on top, and it tastes like dessert. And it's mostly, that ends up being like 35 grams of protein for something like that. That's awesome. I'm glad that you did hit it. Oh yes, the Snickerdoodle's phenomenal. I'm actually waiting on the new one they came out with, French vanilla. I think it's the one that they came out with. Which is interesting that PE Science didn't have a vanilla out. They have all these interesting flavors. Yeah, so protein powder, of course, is going to be the easiest way to add protein into your diet. I'm just not a big shakes person. So I figure out ways to add protein powder into whole foods. You can buy the non-flavored way, but I like to buy the ones that, like Quest peanut butter, and then I'll mix it with just enough liquid to make it almost like a peanut butter type consistency. And then I'll add it on top of Arctic Zero ice cream. My fitness pal is E. Welch, 1976. And I can honestly tell you that because I'm going into reverse, there's going to be a whole lot of fun foods that start showing up on there. I promise you that I am not a crazy clean eater by any means. If something sounds good, I eat it. So I just figure out a way to fit it into my macros. And I haven't had any issues with that. I haven't gained any weight from doing that, and I get to enjoy the things that I like. I made sure I planned in Halloween candy. And, mug cakes and that, stuff like that. So I'll make a mug cake when my, I don't mind, artificial sweeteners. I use them sparingly, but I do have them daily. I think that there's chemicals in everything that we eat. And even somebody who is a clean eater isn't really eating clean. Our soil isn't organic, and unless you're growing vegetables and raising your own cows and your own chickens. So I like I said, I try to eat whole foods. I try to eat healthy. Do I have Splenda? Absolutely. Do I have aspartame? Sometimes, yes. And I have hydrogenated oils and things. Like I said, I like Cool Whip, but I get the fat free. So my thoughts on Weight Watchers. I think Weight Watchers is a phenomenal starting point. I think it has made taking the guesswork out of eating better. That you get a certain amount of points and you eat according to those points, and when your points are gone, you stop eating. Kind of the way I look at it is almost a beginning to following macros. Because, of course, macros, you get a certain number of macros a day, and you eat according to those, and when they're gone, you're supposed to stop eating. My issue with, bye, Candace. Looking forward to hearing from you in a couple of days. So Meredith had issues with it. Truvia has carbs in it because it's got erythritol in it. It's an erythritol stevia blend, I believe. There's also Truvia that's it's a sugar blend, so it depends on which one you get. But of course, if you're drinking or eating a whole bunch of the packets, that's bad. But if you're at one, you're fine. Weight Watchers, one of the issues I have, which of course I've never been a Weight Watchers person, but I've had quite a few of the people, that I have done macros for. They are old Weight Watchers people, and I don't count Splenda. No. They don't count fruit. That's very shocking to me because, I'm not a big fruit eater. But I have some friends like Meredith who love fruit. And how is that okay that her fruit doesn't have points? She could literally be eating 300 or 400 more calories a day than I am, and that's counted as a free food, and that's all carbs. Talk about trying to figure out a way to limit that and really not understanding how you should be limiting that. So I don't agree with that side of it. again, like I said, I think it is absolutely fantastic for people that are starting. See, yeah, bowls of watermelon. Now that's mostly water. I used to eat that when I was pregnant, because they said that would actually help decrease water retention. So I think that if you literally have never followed anything and you think that it's really hard to get your mind wrapped around following macros, Weight Watchers might be a great place to start. I think it's very good for people that are very overweight. But if you get to a point like Meredith did where she wasn't really losing, she doesn't really have a whole lot more to lose. She's going to have to sacrifice. She's going to have to start to tweak those numbers. She's going to have to get rid of things like pineapple and banana and berries and apples and choose. Yeah, exactly. Because, and those are huge in carbs. Both of those fruits are. So, as far as Weight Watchers, like I said, I will never say anything bad about it. I've seen a lot of people get a significant amount of weight off. If you get to a point where you're stalled out or you can't really figure out how to get your muscles to show, it's probably time to have your numbers actually figured out, and that will take you to that next step. Again, the other issue I have with Weight Watchers is how low they allow the overall calorie intake to go. I've had quite a few people that I have figured out their points. I was looking at a point is about 40 calories is what I was able to figure out. So, and I know that like you get a certain amount of weekly points and then you also get like some extra points. I don't really, that doesn't make any sense to me either. Yeah. So, and now if I was getting 1,300 because I don't eat a lot of fruit, I'd be eating much lower than you were on a regular basis. It just doesn't make sense to me in the long run. But yeah, so I don't think that Weight Watchers gives you enough to eat overall, personally, based on the size of the person. I think it's most people start it because they want to lose weight really fast, and maybe that works initially. But again, you're going to start losing muscle mass. It doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are. Your body will use muscle as fuel. So that would be something. If somebody's been on Weight Watchers for a while, then I would, yeah, exactly. No, you cannot. It is physically impossible for the body to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. So if you're on a cut and you want to build muscle, it is time for you to switch to a reverse. The only way that your body will build muscle is if you're in a calorie surplus, which means obviously that you're not going to be losing weight. If you do a reverse, you're going to slowly increase your calories so you're not gaining fat. But you have to be comfortable and understand that the scale will be going up for two reasons. One is your body's going to be storing glycogen again because more carbs, more food, more glycogen. And you're also going to build muscle, which is going to make yep, it's not possible to do both at the same time. So your body is going to build muscle, and so your scale is going to go up. And I'm a perfect example of that. I went into a reverse last year and started out, I was eating 1350 a day, reversed up to 2250 a day in 6 months. You don't have to go that slow, but I really was afraid of gaining fat. The scale went up almost 7 pounds, and I about flipped because I didn't want to be gaining weight. I wanted to be losing weight, but I had to wrap my mind around the fact that in a reverse, you don't lose weight. And I ended up finding out that I actually lost 1% body fat and gained 6 pounds of muscle during that time. So the scale had to go up. Yes, that's the other issue too, and that's where I still had 20 pounds of fat that I wanted to lose. And so the more muscle that I gained, the thicker that I looked because I still had fat on top of the muscle. So it's actually taken me quite a few cycles of reversing and cutting to get some of the fat off. I still don't, I mean, how many of us women really look the way that we want to? But I still don't have the lines that I'm hoping for. And so I'm still a work in progress, and I'll be 39 years old at the end of this year. And so I'm okay with the fact that, I don't have veins and I don't have these amazing biceps. I don't have arms like Skinny Meg. Damn her. But you know what? I have powerful legs, and I can lift a lot of frickin' weight. No, you absolutely should. So you can gain strength in a cut, but you can't gain muscle. You absolutely should continue to strength train during a cut. You want to retain the muscle that you have. The more muscle we have on our body, the higher our resting metabolic rate is, which means the higher fat burn even at rest. If you stop weight training, you will lose muscle mass, and you absolutely don't want to do that. The one thing that you need to make sure of, the one thing you want to make sure of is not trying to regularly increase the weight that you're lifting in a cut. Be okay with, let's say you were bench pressing 80 pounds and next week you try to go up to 85 and you just can't get all 5 reps up. Go back down to the 80 and be happy with that. Continue to maintain your strength while you're in the cut. And then what will happen is the amount of muscle that you have when you start to go into a reverse will just build from there, instead of stopping. Because if you stop, you're going to end up skinny fat. I mean, that's what's going to happen. Hate to say it, but whoops. Did it skip on you guys? My husband was calling. Doesn't he know I'm talking to you guys? Yeah, so the amount of weight you lift is going to be relative to your own strength. I can't tell you that 20 pounds is going to be heavy enough or too light. So what you need to do is you need to come up with a sets and reps scheme that is going to be challenging for you. Some people only have free weights at their house up to 20 pounds. That's totally fine. You don't have to have up to 225 pounds and able to get a fantastic workout or build muscle. So what you need to do is you need to create a rep scheme where you can do up to 8 to 10 reps. And if you stop at 8, you feel like you could do 10, but 12 would be very hard. If you are doing 10 easily and you think you could easily bust out 12, your weight needs to be heavier. The other option is going to be to start adding in, if you don't have the weights at home, the free weights that are heavy enough, is to adding in some isometrics. Doing a bicep curl and holding that. I don't understand what you're asking me, Jen. So you're going to want to make sure that you really focus on muscle contraction much more than the movement. If you're saying you're doing bicep curls, just throwing up 10 is not going to be the same thing as really focusing and keeping that muscle contracted for that entire movement. There's stuff like that. There are some guys that are crazy heavyweight that if you see them working out in the gym, they don't use anything like for their biceps. It's more than 35 pounds, which you would think for those huge muscle guys, it's like, man, you could probably easily curl 85, 90 pounds. They're focusing on the muscle itself and not the movement. They're not just saying, oh, I'm just doing bicep curls today. No, they are thinking, they are concentrating on how that muscle is truly contracting through each one of those moves. You have larger muscle groups and smaller. Your shoulders, your arms are smaller muscle groups. Your back is a very large muscle group, as are your legs. What I calculated for you is on your daily intake has nothing to do with how much you're working out. So if you have a lower calorie burn, I guess, during a workout, or a higher one, just continue to eat the same macros that I had written for you. The macro scheme that I gave you, you will lose fat whether you're working out or not. I tell my girls this all the time, that exercise is designed to build strength and muscle. Heck yes, you can eat all the food and look good. Diet is the key to fat loss. No, so here's the thing with, like when you add in a workout into MyFitnessPal, right? Let's say you jog 3 miles and you log that in MyFitnessPal and it says you burn, let's say 300 calories. We'll make it easy. If you are not a runner, and I am a runner, and I put in the same 3 miles into MyFitnessPal, it's going to tell me that I also burned 300 calories. That's complete crap. As a distance runner, I probably burn half of that in 3 miles. But MyFitnessPal doesn't know that I'm a distance runner that's conditioned. So don't ever trust what that says you burned in a workout. In fact, even heart rate monitors, they're basing it off of how fast your heart's beating, not your I do some heavy workouts where my heart rate doesn't skyrocket, but the amount of energy it takes to rebuild my muscle at rest is going to end up keeping my metabolism up higher for a longer period of time. But I can't trust that based on the amount that I sweat, or if I don't feel fatigued after a workout. Don't believe any of that stuff. Just continue to get the workouts in that you have planned. Follow your macros and you will lose fat, period. But things like MyFitnessPal's average calorie burn and stuff is complete crap, and don't trust any of that, and never eat back those calories, ever. That's why I don't even add my exercise into MyFitnessPal, because it's a guess at best, and it's a pretty inaccurate one. So my other suggestion is, during the holidays, don't try to undo any of your quote unquote cheating. Yeah, see that, and there's some people that are actually addicted to the sweating itself. Again, a lot of cardio bunnies are, and so they have a really hard time reducing the cardio because they're not getting the sweat that they liked. So that's when I suggest, you know what, you add in 1 to 2 high intensity sessions a week, you're going to get a good sweat going in. And you're actually going to burn a lot more fat than you would if you were doing some kind of steady state cardio for 30 minutes. So what I was saying is, do not try to burn off your cheat. If you ate 2 pieces of pumpkin pie, but you said you were going to only eat 1, please do not go to the gym the next day and add in 30 minutes of cardio. You're not going to lose the weight that you supposedly think you put on by eating that extra piece of pie, by overdoing your exercise. You're just setting yourself up actually to kind of burn out. You set yourself up for the possibility of injury and fatigue. And I'll be honest with you, when you do that kind of cardio after eating something like that, it actually makes you hungry. So that's not a good idea. Well, again, all you have to do, Jenny, is make sure that you, if you haven't, that you log your food and kind of see where you are. Your metabolism, the rate of your metabolism is entirely up to you. I know that it slows as we age, and especially after menopause. Somebody's just starting out, I would still do sprinting. I wouldn't do any amount of walking or any length of running, honestly. Yeah, so when I do have a YouTube channel, but right now I only allow my macro members to access it because for some reason guys are like total creepers, and I don't know why the heck they want to watch this stuff, but they do. And so then I end up getting these weirdos that make comments. Yeah, so anyway, Jenny, back to menopause. Yes, so by the way that you eat, you can raise your metabolism even after menopause. So that would be something that like I said, if you log your food, kind of figure out where you are. Protein is the most thermogenic macro, so it takes the most energy to digest it. So another reason that getting in your necessary amount of protein is a really big deal, because your metabolism is going to be raised by eating more protein. So totally gross, guys. I'm sure you get them too, Kendra. Any woman that does this stuff, all of a sudden some random creeper will show up and they make just dirty comments. I don't know what that does for them. Yeah, so Jen also is the same way. And like I said, making sure you guys get your protein in, that's also going to really help with things like osteoporosis. So will lifting weights. Cardio will not help with osteoporosis either. So weightlifting, getting more muscle build, that's also going to hold all that stuff together better too. So if you can start... I told my husband about some of the guys that get on here. And he's like, what do they gain from that? I don't know. whatever it was, I guess the guy enjoyed himself for the 5 seconds before he got blocked. But I just can't imagine being so desperate that I'm out creeping chicks, especially, I mean, what does mine say? Macros in the holidays? Ooh, yeah, that sounds like a hot topic for a guy. Yes, because so protein is your most thermogenic macro, followed by carbs and then fat. So it takes the most energy to digest protein. And then it takes about 10 to 15% to burn carbs, and it's almost next to nothing for fat. So of course, fat isn't digested by the body. It's pushed out through the digestive system, so the body doesn't have to work super hard to get rid of fat. Just so you guys know. And you made my day. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Maybe I'll title my next Periscope something to do with bananas. Maybe we should start taking bets on how many creepers we can get to show up. Oh man. I swear, who these psychos are. I mean, social media has so many benefits, and then you end up with those guys and you just think, what? Really? Ugh. Yeah, so like I said, last point is do not overwork yourself based on the way that you ate. Enjoy your one holiday, not your holiday week, and continue your workouts. Do not skip workouts during this time of year. That can be so easy when you say, like I said, going to mother-in-law's today, then we're going to mom's tomorrow. I'm just going to skip my workout. No, 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 no. Figure out a way to get that in. Don't add to it. Don't try to go cardio crazy, but don't miss workouts during this time. And I'll be honest with you, if you eat in a calorie surplus during the holidays, I can guarantee your workouts are actually going to be better. Again, like I said, the more food we have, the more we can push. And that's how we build muscle, is to be in a calorie surplus. So I don't suggest going to some crazy surplus, but definitely enjoy yourselves and make sure that you reach New Year's Eve happy and that you really remember why you're doing this. We can get so lost in the numbers and really feel like we're kind of stuck, especially when we're not seeing results the way that society programmed us to believe that we should see them. Not every person thinks that a rail-thin body is sexy. Not every guy thinks that a bunch of muscle is. Some guys love a little bit of squish, and there is nothing wrong with that. We are all uniquely made, and we need to embrace our strengths and not allow our weaknesses to get us down. And don't fall into the idea that the holidays is a free-for-all. But at the same time, do not ever allow your diet to control you. This is a time for us to enjoy our family and to remember really what's important in life. And what's important in life is not the number on any scale, whether it's the scale that's in your kitchen or the scale that's in your bathroom on the floor. So I hope that I answered most of your questions. I know sometimes the questions come kind of fast, and if there was something that I either didn't cover or that you want more information on, my email address is poppylockscakes@gmail.com. Oh yeah, definitely road tripping. I will take some notes, and we will do that one tomorrow, Kendra, because that is huge. This summer I took a 9-day road trip. We drove from Texas across to Virginia, and then we went up into Washington, D.C., up into New York, New Jersey, and drove all the way back home through Tennessee. Long trip. I came home, and I weighed 4 pounds less. Can you believe that? I promise I was shocked myself. But I was super happy because I was the same way. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I know I've been counting macros for a couple of years now, but that doesn't mean that, you know how it is. You're in a car and you stop at a gas station and all of a sudden M&Ms and Cheetos are calling your name. And that's the way I grew up. I mean, we'd road trip it and you had donuts and you had chocolate milk and you had Cheetos. And so I was concerned about that. I think my dog's getting into something. And like I said, I lost 4 pounds on a 9-day road trip with my children, having fun, eating ice cream at neat places, stopping at the Crayola Experience, and enjoying a vacation and freedom, and realizing that I still was in control of what I put in my mouth. So yes, I will definitely make some notes on how to do that. Is your trip a road trip, Kendra? You're driving in the car? Okay. Yeah, so that's what ours was. Ours was, it was insane. It was like 3,500 miles or something crazy. Okay, so that's not too bad because you're in Texas, right? Yeah, so I can give you definitely some of the things that I know are super macro friendly type snacks that you can hang on to. The easy ways to get your protein in when you're on a trip like that, because those seem to be yes. So yeah, I can give you all the different things that I used that kind of help keep you on track as much as you can. And like I said, and then also making sure that you enjoy yourself. Because it seems like for me, road trips end up being super carb heavy. And then you end up at the end of your day and it's like, okay, I think I had 35 grams of protein all day. So that seemed to be, if I can get in my protein, that the other macros kind of start to work themselves out. So I hope you guys, like I said, if there's anything that you have any more questions on, you can email me. Like I said, I'll do a road trip. I'll do a kind of a road trip periscope and how to eat on the road, on the go. Same thing with like business trips. And if there's any other questions that you guys email me, then I can also answer those tomorrow. So I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of the day, and I will see you soon. Bye.